Damn, this novel just can't keep... I don't know what the hell this novel's doing, but it just keeps on giving off these badass freaking titles. The Sickness Unto Slaughter. Good God. That's a great title. I'd say not as good as the title with, A Contract Sealed in Our Blood or something along those lines. Like, Ayase's was actually... Damn, that is awesome as hell. This is already just... Okay. The Sickness Unto Slaughter. Well... Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. Also, it looks like we're in her Kozue's perspective now. The one halting her was a classmate of hers, Ninomiya Minako.
Orihara, ちょっと話があるんだけど.
Kozue winced at the clear animosity laced in her words. Moreover, Minako was... I think it's Minako. Not Minako, it's Minako. Was not the only one there. 5 girls stood behind Minako, lying in wait. All of them were her classmates, but Kozue was unable to recall their names and faces.
いいよね。付き合ってくれるでしょ?
Well, here's the question. Is she going to kill them? Or is she going to torture them? That's the big question right there. As she remained unresponsive and unsure of what to do, Kozue's quivering shoulders were then shoved, not by Minako, but by one of the other girls behind her. Oh, yep, they're dead.
ちょっと、なんとか言いなよ.
Yeah, they're dead. It was nice knowing you, ladies. Even though I just met you. Feeling entrapped by the crowd of girls, tears began pouring from the corners of her eyes. Her captors were quick to take notice, growing even further agitated.
いちいち泣いてんじゃねえよ。いいからちょっと来なよ.
She refused to go with them, for she had a horrible feeling about the events to come, but when they grabbed her by both arms, she knew that she no longer had a choice in the matter. They brought her out to the rooftop. 10 more girls were waiting up there. Nearly everyone was a classmate of hers. When she realized this truth, Kozue was left deeply confused. Kozue could predict very well what would happen from this moment. She could acutely feel the intense malice directed at her from those present. Kozue shook in fear from the sheer amount of negative delusions flowing into her. Despite her best efforts to endure, her tears simply would not stop flowing.
こいつもう泣いてんじゃん。うわ、マジ？うざくない？
Even though Kozue had only just transferred to the school, her peers held nothing but back in their barrage of insults. Yep, they're dead. Of course, she was well aware of the bitter hatred the girls felt for her. Try as she might to block out their inner voices in the classroom, the utter animosity they held was not something that she had been able to ignore. But despite such contempt, nobody had ever approached her in this manner before. She tried to run, but being surrounded by so many of her classmates left her no route to escape with.
逃げようとしてんじゃねえよ。みなこが話あるんだからさ、ちゃんと聞きな。
Prompted by her classmate's threat, Minako glared toward Kozue with intense hatred. Minako's demeanor was that of a tall, rigid model, providing a heavy contrast to Kozue's small, petite frame.
折原、あんたさ、大輔に色目使ってんじゃないわよ。
Huh? Despite them talking as if she should have known it, the name Daisuke was not one she was familiar with. But these words that would defend her would never leave her mouth. She simply made herself small, shrinking to the ground in order to withstand the fierce chaos and confusion.
聞いてんの？うざいんだよあんた。人の彼氏に手出そうとしてんなよ。
Oh. You're immediately insecure. You immediately assume the new girl is homing in on your territory when in reality you should have been keeping an eye on your boyfriend. You should be able to tell, obviously, that Kozue is not somebody that actively seeks out the attention of guys. She tends to keep to herself. If your boyfriend is making eyes at her, you need to actually keep an eye out on him. She's not tempting him. He's trying to get away from you. That, or he's being Somebody who needs to be hit in the nuts repeatedly. Kozue frantically shook her head in denial. She had no recollection of this person at all. Then she at last realized that the person they spoke of was her classmate, Misumi. Freaking Misumi. If that truly was who they were referring to, then Kozue never had any intention of leering at him. In truth, it was quite the opposite. His entirely overt ulterior motives were nothing but a source of vexation to her. Yeah, that's entirely Misumi. She's thinking that Mr. Oh my god, she's just one of Misumi's victims if you think about it. He's a fucking playboy. Dude doesn't even care about the feelings of all the girls that he's trying to tap in right now. It's just like, and the fact that this girl doesn't recognize that her quote unquote boyfriend Misumi is the actual problem. It is, she's directing her anger at the wrong person.
っていうか、前から折原のこと気に入らなかったんだよね。
God, you're a problem.
ねえ、なんで喋んないの？可愛いこぶってんの？
はっきり言ってうざすぎだし、ムカつくし。
You people are the disgusting shit stains for singling out a girl like this.
それとも男子とは話せても私たちと話すつもりないって？調子に乗ってんじゃねえよ。
Could you stop?
なんか言えよ、ブス。
God, kids are fucking vicious. You know you're gonna get... You know if you push her far enough, she's gonna go Higurashi mode on you, right? Okay, now I'm getting mad. They pulled her hair. They struck her face. They shoved her shoulders. There was no escape. They would not let her. Bullying, beating up. Kozue shuddered in fear as those words floated through her mind. Save me, Seina-shan. Save me, Takumi-shan. Her inner voice cried out, but it was clear that help would not arrive anytime soon. Before she had even moved here to Tokyo, this was how it had always been. No matter how much Kozue wished for someone to help her, it would never come. She had no choice but to bear it. If it were only this much, she could bear it. But that thought was just as transient as the last. From somewhere she could not quite discern, a noise faintly began to echo. The faces of her classmates immediately lost all expression. Each and every one of them reached into their jacket pockets in unison. And then, as if they had planned it beforehand, they all slowly retrieved something from within them. Each person... Oh no, they all pulled out a mirror. Oh god, here we go. Held a handheld mirror. Mirrors of all manner of shapes and sizes. Simultaneously, each and every girl turned the surfaces of their mirrors toward Kozue. It was like a cult performing a ritual. Within each mirror, Kozue could be seen stricken with the utmost terror, each silver screen reflecting a girl with eyes convulsing uncontrollably. The nightmares that had once plagued Kozue began to resurface. She was losing the self she knew. She could not stop trembling. She shook her head violently in denial. Her eyes wandered between each mirror. As her head shuddered and shook, the convulsions seizing her eyes continued. Kozue tried to scream, but could only muster a feeble cry. Oh no. I'll kill you. I'll kill you, 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 I'll kill you. The dominance of dark, sickly delusions began to enshroud her mind. She then became cognizant of the D-sword clutched tightly in her hands. A faint beam of red light shone across the blade, flickering with a delightful shriek. Not a hint of its brutality was left concealed. Its mere aura fiercely intimidated all those who beheld it. Everything before it fell to ruin. Everything before it was consumed. Everything before it returned to nothing. And now as it settled, her sword resided not in delusion, but in reality. Her once expressionless classmates awakened from their trance, greatly alarmed by what was unfolding. But by then, it was far too late. Tears pouring down her cheeks, Kozue let out a scream. Her eyes could no longer see. With a single step, Kozue staggered forward. Effortlessly, she raised the D-sword above her head. At the present moment, it was Minako who was in her path. What came next would be appropriately referred to as an immediate bisection. From the left arm to the right shoulder, her body was ripped apart. In regard to what had happened to the girl, the word slash would have been far too disingenuous. Sickeningly extreme amounts of blood burst forth from her body. As she raised the D-sword aloft, this time Kozue staggered backward. It was as if the sword itself had drawn her back. Her body moved about adroitly, almost as if it were dancing. Despite her remarkably petite frame, she swung the gigantic sword around with incredible ease. Despite being far past death, Minako's corpse was further desecrated in obscene acts of violence. The freshly spilt blood danced in the air along with Kozue and her sword, dyeing the concrete crimson. Kozue, sapped of any remaining strength, collapsed seconds later in unison with what had used to be Minako. She was sobbing her heart out, the tears forcing her eyes to remain closed. Faced with that horrific display, her classmates stared in a daze, their mouths hanging agape. Not a single one moved from where they stood. It was as if they could not comprehend what had just occurred. Swaying slowly, Kozue returned to her feet. Her head hung low as convulsive sobs assailed her. Pointed directly at her petrified classmates, blood trickled from her D-sword. The very next moment, innumerable shrieks ripped through the air, before disappearing into the sky forever. While I wouldn't really call this the most violent route that we're going on right now, it's pretty damn violent. Walking as fast as I could, I headed directly for my school. I kept my eyes out for anyone at all. If someone even dared to approach me, I'd run away as fast as I possibly could. I'd been hyperventilating for forever now. Wheezing again and again, my throat desperately gasped for air. The sweat beaded endlessly on my forehead. No matter how much I wiped it away, it just kept coming. I was just going to school. So I could get Kozue to help with whatever the hell this was. I needed her to fight the bastards that were trying to break me. Kozue would definitely do it. She was completely broken herself, after all. I wanted to kill them. Shogun and his cronies needed to fucking die. There was no doubt in my mind that the people at my base yesterday had been Shogun and his underlings. They were finally cutting the bullshit, and now they were gunning to finish the job. They targeted me, begun their extensive mission to wear me down, and now they were moving in to kill me in the sickest, most vilest, most disgusting way they could possibly imagine. I couldn't take it. I didn't want to die. So I had to kill them before they killed me. That sound again! Yesterday I heard the exact same sound, creaking sound behind me. I whipped around, wincing in anticipation of what might come. And yet not a soul was behind me. There was no wheelchair in sight. It couldn't have been a hallucination. I'd heard it right fucking behind me. Was Shogun still attacking me? I broke into a mad dash. No way in hell was I gonna stand around all alone. And yet, it followed me. The sound clung tightly to my back. I could hear it directly behind me as I ran. Stop it. Get away. Stop chasing me. Don't look at me. I was about to snap. I no longer had the stomach to take another look behind me. I stumbled my way to the school gate. The bell still hadn't rung yet. I was on the verge of being tardy, but I could still see other students here and there. Just looking at another person was enough to make me flinch. But if I didn't go in the building, I wouldn't be able to find Kozue. Steeling myself, I entered the school grounds. When I heard something once again. But it wasn't a wheelchair this time. It was a cell phone shutter. My gaze shot all around myself. Who the hell? Who taken the photo? Nobody was looking at me. Nobody had a cell phone out. What the fuck? What the fucking fuck? I covered my ears, and without looking where I was going, I bolted. You should head to the roof. Without stopping even once, I finally made it to the classroom. I was about to burst into the room, only to frantically stop dead in my tracks and turn right back around. The class DQNs were all assembled in there. The second my eyes had met one of them, I'd given up on completely going in. God damn it! This world was plagued with my enemies. Every single person was my enemy. All of you should die. Every fucking last one of you should just die! Since I couldn't go in the room, I opted to just turn around and keep walking. Maybe a delusion or two about massacring those DQN pieces of shit would cheer me up. I'd only glanced in the room, but I hadn't seen Kozue. Actually, there hadn't been any girls in the classroom at all. That was pretty strange, actually. But I still couldn't care less. All I cared about was figuring out where the hell Kozue had wandered off to. Of all the times for her to completely disappear on me, it just had to be now. I was still wheezing from before, my breath violently forcing itself in and out of my lungs. When they saw me like that, the other students walking down the hall stopped and stared. Don't look at me. That sound again. Looking back, I saw 4 DQN guys that I hadn't noticed before. They all had the biggest smirks on their faces, each one of their cell phones trained on me. Don't look at me. Ignore them. Kozue can just kill them later on. A delusion like that sounded so exhilarating. Every last one of them dying a horrible death. I've had fucking enough of this world. Christ almighty. Kozue still was nowhere to be found. I had no clue where she was. Maybe she just hadn't come to school today. But if that was the case, then what was I supposed to do? I really doubted I could fend off Shogun's attempts to break me, especially for a whole day. I'd been pretending to be tough inside my head this whole time, but my knees were still shaking uncontrollably. And if I didn't stay focused for even 1 second, I'd literally sink to the floor and stay there. Kozue, where did you go? Where the hell did you go? Please just save me! Startled, I stopped dead in my tracks. I heard a voice. A voice in my head that it felt like it had come from right next to me. Someone's inner voice. Oh boy. Kozue, where are you? Looking around, I saw Kozue squatting down near a corner by the entrance, cradling her head. The moment I saw her, a gasp forced its way from my mouth. Her entire body was a deep crimson, as if waves of red from an ocean of blood had crashed down upon her. No, it wasn't simply as if. She was undeniably covered in a ridiculous amount of blood. I wanted to scream, but my voice had stopped working. Kozue! Say something! Kozue! When I called out to her with my inner voice, Kozue slowly raised her head. Tears were flooding from her eyes, leaving them red and congested. Without getting up from the ground, she grabbed onto my shirt. She clung to me as if her life depended on it.
何を
匠ちゃんはコズピンの敵味方
What's that supposed to mean? I tried to ask again, but she just buried her face in my chest and shook her head from side to side. The reddish-black blood coating her entire body seeped into my uniform and slowly spread through it. I'd never realized how small Kozue truly was. Her body was so fragile, it felt like I might break it at any moment. Only when I'd embraced her had I finally come to realize this.
僕はコズピーの味方だ。だからコズピーに助けてもらいたい。
I only said what was on my mind. I was being fairly selfish, but Kozue was the only one I could turn to.
コズピンのこといじめない
Jesus. It's playing this sappy music, but God, it's so fucked up. I'm not gonna be a bully to you. The guys bullying me are my main concern. That's what's more important here anyway. I need your protection.
コズピンは守れないよ
What do you mean? You have a D sword.
だってあの子のことうまく扱えないぽ
Him? What, your D sword? As I asked that inside my head, Kozue nodded. She then nestled further into me.
だからねさっきのドカバキクシャーはコズピンのせいじゃ
Oh no. Without warning, I was hit with a fierce impact. Images burst into my mind like an intense montage of flashbacks. The school, its rooftop, the fierce, rusty smell of blood, a sea of blood, endless chunks of meat strewn across the concrete, disconnected, disjointed hunks of flesh I couldn't identify. And Kozue standing in the middle of it all, her breathing heavy, and a D-sword in her hand. I then snapped back to myself, shocked. What the hell was that? That had definitely been the school rooftop. But what were all those other images? Had they been just a delusion? But they had been different from how my delusions usually were. And maybe it hadn't been my delusion, but Kozupi's? I felt like Sen had said something about how gigalomaniacs can make other people see their negative delusions, so maybe that was what had happened. But placing that aside for now, Kozupi's blood-stained body clung to me. The blood on her was still wet. There were no signs that she'd been hurt, and she certainly wasn't acting like she had been. Therefore, the blood wasn't hers. I was trying my absolute hardest to conjure up an explanation for the amount of blood she was bathed in. There was nothing normal about this. It was utterly insane. Whose blood was this? Kozue, whose blood is this?
コズピンをねいじめた人たち
Kozue hung her head. She gently detached from me, then looked away as if she was in trouble. She raised her index finger to her lips. To me, it was like she was sulking about something, or like she was lapping up the blood on her finger. Isn't that someone else's blood?
他人の血だよ。
A feeling of dread surged up within me. Kozue, if that really is the case, you went way, way too far, didn't you? The school bell rang loudly, telling us homeroom had started. There wasn't a single sign of any students around us. They had already gone to class. And so, I made up my mind and began to head straight for my classroom. Trying my best not to get caught, I stealthily peeked in from the window.
これって
And what I saw left me shocked. Homeroom had already started with the teacher standing at the front of the room. And just like I'd seen before, not a single girl was present inside the classroom. No way. I had to be sure. I had to be absolutely sure that it had all been just a delusion. You went to the rooftop. I took off for the roof, then flung open the door leading to it. The first thing to hit me was a somber blue sky. And the next was nothing but pure crimson. A literal sea of blood. What, when hit with the remains of that horrifying scene, the physiological revulsion, the utter repulsiveness, and the overpowering stench, it all pulled together, and I could no longer keep the contents of my stomach from emptying across the concrete.
たくみさんはコズピーの味方だよね。
I jumped. When I turned around, Kozue was standing right in front of me. Tears were welling up in the corners of her eyes, still soaked in blood. She turned to me and smiled an innocent smile. I couldn't help but run away. I was afraid of Kozue for smiling in that situation, for killing them so brutally. I couldn't comprehend it. The people that had been there weren't people anymore. They were in pieces, and she'd done that to them. The scene on the rooftop had been burned into my mind and refused to leave. It repeated endlessly, looping over and over again in my head, and each time it did, I was hit with the most intense feeling of nausea. I lost count of how many times I dry heaved. I ran all around the school with no real destination in mind. Homeroom had already started, but so there was no one in the halls. Kozue wasn't following me. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Was running away the smart thing to do, or should I have stayed with her? If Kozue saw me as an enemy because I'd run away, would I be fucked? If she started thinking of me as an enemy, would she tear me to pieces like she had with those girls on the rooftop? Oh God, no, please no. But if that was true, what should I have done? Even if I went back to Kozue now, I'd had no idea what to do or say. Find a towel, tell her, hey, we have to get you cleaned up before we leave the school. I don't know, I'm trying to think of a quick way to cover this up, but how the hell do you cover this sort of shit up? You don't! That's it! I kept on running and running, almost tripping every couple of seconds. And the very next corner I went around, I very nearly ran right into two people. It was... Oh, hey, your girlfriend's dead. It was Misumi-kun, together with one of the DQNs from my class who'd made fun of me earlier. He looked at me with clear unease, while the DQN stepped in front of me, blocking my path. The DQN had the most malicious grin on his face.
Yo, Espa. お前、ちょっと超能力使ってくんね?
I bit my lip. I didn't make eye contact. If I did, I knew I'd get punched right then and there. The DQN made no moves to take out his cell phone. If he did, however, I very well might have lost it and killed him, just like Kozue had with those girls.
クラスの女子が授業をボイコットしたみたいだよ。誰も来ねえから、俺ら今探してるわけよ。でもだるいと思うね。ミスミやミナコが心配みてえだけどよ。どうせ集団でサボってるだけだろ。そう思うよな、エスパー。
Oh boy, Minako. Yeah, about that. I didn't respond. And as a result, a sharp pain ran through me as he kicked me in the hip.
おい、シカトしてんじゃねえよ。やめろよ。
The second Misumi-kun spoke up, the DQN stopped dead in his tracks.
たく、ミナコ見なかったか。チャイム鳴るまでいたんだけどよ。今はメールしても電話しても 帰ってこねえんだ。
So we're not going to talk about how I still have bloodstains on my shirt. I couldn't tell him. I couldn't tell him about the tragedy that had happened on the rooftop. I had no idea who Minako was, but I assumed she was Misumi-kun's girlfriend. Could she have been among the tattered pieces of meat scattered across the rooftop? And what about Rimi? Had Kozue killed her too? She shouldn't have. Rimi had been missing for a while, and she hadn't been at school either. Really, I couldn't believe I was still worrying about her after everything that had happened. What the hell was I even expecting her to do? She was never going to come back anyway, so what was even the point?
なあエスパー、お前なんで服に血がついてんだ？
A shudder ran through me. It was blood from when Kozue had clung to me. It had transferred from her onto me, and now it fully covered the edge of my shirt. Misumi-kun's eyes widened and he gasped.
タク、何かあったのか？
何もないよ。
The second that left my mouth, I whipped around and ran away as fast as I could. I heard a voice calling after me, but I ignored it. I bolted down the stairs. And fell. But in my chaotic frenzy, I lost my footing and tumbled all the way down to the landing. As I lay there on the ground, I lost all will to stand up again. Would I ever be able to find peace again? Why did all these insane, horrific things keep happening to me, one after the other?
タク、
Rimi? A voice called my name. I only knew a single girl that called me that. I slowly, timidly looked up and saw a hand stretched out before me.
どうしたの？そんなに慌てて。どこか怪我してない？
It was Rimi. Rimi was here.
意味。僕は。
I felt tears starting to well up. Not wanting to embarrass myself, I fought them back and took the hand she was offering to me. It was so very warm. Rimi pulled me to my feet.
本当に大丈夫？かなり派手に転んでたけど。
She brushed off my clothes, not leaving a single spot on me untouched.
リミ、どこへ？
Where had she been for all this time? Why hadn't she contacted me? She'd said she would protect me.
ああ、私は今日は遅刻。
That didn't answer my question. But when I saw that confused, airheaded smile of hers, my fear ever so slightly subsided. That smile had saved my life many times before. And when I saw it, I no longer had any need to ask where she'd been or what she'd been doing. I didn't need to ask her why she hadn't contacted me. Rimi had come back to me, and everything would be okay now. No matter what enemy I come to face, Rimi would protect me. Or would she? Would she truly protect me? Had Kozue really just so happened to not kill Rimi? A flicker of doubt appeared in the corner of my mind. It rose up in me like a passing thought. She'd been absent for all this time, but she just so happened to come back today? And then she just so happened to be late to school on the day she just so happened to come back? And then Kozue had just so happened to commit murder on the same day Rimi had just so happened to come in late? No, don't think about it. Stay positive. I rubbed my temples with my fingers, trying to calm myself down.
なんだか具合も悪そうだね。保健室に連れてってあげる。そこで少し休んだ方がいいよ。
Girl ain't talking about the freaking bloodstains on me? Cool. As she said that, Rimi pulled me by my hand.
ほら、行こう。
Did Rimi not know about the tragedy that had happened on the rooftop? But wasn't that only natural? She had said she'd been tardy today. And the fact that she didn't dare ask about the blood on my clothes was just her being considerate to me. It had to be. Rimi attempted to pull my reluctant self down the stairs, but I planted my feet right before the entrance.
タック
She kept on trying to pull me along, pretty forcefully too, but I gently shook her hand off. Turning left in this hallway would bring us to the staff room, and after that, the school nurse's office. From there, if we kept going straight and exited at the end of the hall, we'd end up at the sports courts outside, after which would be the school gate. I didn't want to see anyone today if I could help it. I didn't even want to walk through the school. Someone was going to find that slaughter up on the rooftop any moment, and when they did, a huge panic would break out. I'd probably end up being the prime suspect since my clothes were caked with blood and all. That was why I wanted to get away from the school as soon as possible. I should just avoid the nurse's office and go straight to the entrance. I planned to tell Rimi about the rooftop and Kozue, but when I turned around... She's got her D-swords out. Rimi was holding something sharp and pointed. No. Was that a D-sword? It looked like a pair of steel wings. And the tips of the wings were pointed straight at me. Rimi was about to stab me in the back any moment now. Our eyes met. Rimi's eyes were filled with grief. She was the first to break eye contact.
ごめんね
Softly murmuring those few words, she brandished her sword. She was about to kill me. Rimi was about to kill me! I lost control. The second she was about to swing, I gripped her wrist to protect myself. I was a lazy piece of shit, and I practically never exercised, yet I still had enough strength to overpower her.
なんでだよ
This bitch. In the end, had Rimi been just another enemy? Has she been lying to me the whole time? Just like you had back then, was she just trying to fuck me over too? Was Rimi also one of Shogun's underlings? And if she was his underling, did that mean that she had been behind New Gen the entire time and I'd been right from the very start?
なんでこんな
ごめんでもタクには消えてもらうしかないの
That decided it. There was no misunderstanding here. Rimi really was my enemy. This was her true nature. All that shit about protecting me had been nothing but a lie.
嘘だこんなの嘘だ
嘘ついてごめんでもお願いタク消えて
ふざけるなよ僕がどれだけリミのことを信用してたと思ってるんだどれだけリミを頼りにしてたと思ってるんだなんでそんな簡単に人を裏切れるんだよ
And my prediction is Kozue suddenly shows up and blocks whatever she's about to do to him.
この悪魔女め
タクごめん
ごめんで済むかよ何様だよ
I realized I was crying. A betrayal like this, I couldn't. The pure rage and frustration I was feeling right now. What I had felt with Yua didn't even come close. Rimi had shit over all the feelings I had had for her. I'll never forgive you. 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 I'm gonna kill you. I'll never forgive you. I'm gonna kill you. I'll never forgive you. I'll never forgive you. I'm gonna kill you! Gripping her wrist even tighter. Rimi's expression contorted in agony, but the pain I felt was far worse. You tore my heart to fucking shreds. I'll never forgive you. I could never fucking forgive you. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna fucking...
殺してやる
It happened in an instant. Right before my very eyes, Rimi's figure vanished. Her body was blown to the side toward the shoe lockers and slammed right into them. She had been done for the moment she'd hit the metal lockers, obliterating them in the process. A thick cloud of dust enveloped the room. At first, I had no idea what the hell had happened.
たくみさんの心の叫びね。聞こえたよ。
Right before me, brandishing her D sword, it was Kozue. Her expression was incredibly pained. Sweat shone on her forehead. And yet, even despite those things, she still forced herself to smile at me.
殺したいって許せないってだから殺してあげたのら。
Her inner voice threw all of that at me.
殺した。本当に殺し。
Unable to believe what I had just seen, I approached the demolished shoe lockers. The D-sword that had used to be Rimi's brushed against the tip of my shoe. It was lying on the floor, deprived of its owner. Liquid slowly pooled beneath the sword. Blood. Whose blood was it? I didn't have to think long to know. Eventually, the D-sword by my feet was enveloped by countless black particles and vanished into the air. Rimi was dead? Just like that? I didn't have the slightest urge to confirm it. Sadness washed over me, and at the same time I was left with an inescapable sense of regret. I had killed my own emotions deep down. Had my feelings numbed me to everything? Or had I numbed my feelings to everything? It didn't matter anymore. At least the tears had stopped falling.
コズピー、僕を助けて。
Right now, Kozue was the only one I could depend on. Holy shit! Even though Rimi had betrayed me, I still wanted someone to believe in. Or maybe I just wanted someone I could be with. Someone who would accept me. All that stuff about wanting to be protected, it was all just an excuse. I didn't want to be alone. Even if she might betray me, even if I had been betrayed already, I didn't want to be alone. I couldn't bear all this awful bullshit on my own. If I was on my own, I guarantee I would cease to be me. I would just up and disappear. I approached Kozue, desperate for someone to cling to. When I looked at her, what I saw was how terribly sad she looked, the sheer pain on her face. Her smile had long since disappeared. I made up my mind and embraced her tiny shoulders. She didn't fight it.
さっきはコズピーから逃げたのに。
ごめん。ごめんなさい。それでも助けてくれ。
たくみちゃんはコズピーの味方？
Who could say how many people Kozue had already killed? Who could say what would happen if the police caught us? Knowing all that, would it really turn out okay if the two of us stayed together? I asked myself such a question, but it didn't take long for me to find my answer. Right now, I was together with Kozue. And as long as we stayed together, it would all turn out okay. We had bigger enemies than the police. Enemies that were too dangerous to face alone.
僕にはコズピーが必要だ。一緒にいたい。
たくみさんは身勝手な人なの。
Upon saying that, she wrapped her arms around my back. With the little strength she had left, she held me in return.
でもね、コズピーのこと必要って言ってくれたから、コズピーもたくみさん一生懸命守る。あのね、前に汚いおじさんが言ってたのら。我慢することないって 負の感情を否定しちゃダメって。だからコズピーをいじめる人みんな殺すね。
This kid's broken. This kid is beyond broken. Good God.
それと、たくみさんをいじめる人も。
Feelings, both cold to the touch and warm as the sun, found their way from her to me. Feelings inside her that contradicted. Madness. Kindness. Whether it was the same way her inner voice could reach me or it was all in my head, I didn't know. Right as that thought drifted through my mind, a girl's scream echoed throughout the school grounds. It had come from the top of the building. Had she found the slaughter on the rooftop? We had to run. Kozue, if we stay here, the police will catch us. For some reason, the moment I let go of her body, she immediately sank to the ground. What's wrong?
すごく疲れてるのな。体だるいの。
Oh, crap, we have to carry her.
ねえ、たくみさん。コズピーね、心の中に真っ黒な妄想がどんどん生まれてくるよ。押しつぶされちゃいそうなの。
Blackiest black delusions? What do you mean? Regardless of what she meant, staying here wasn't an option. With Rimi's corpse lying here, anyone who spotted us would find out exactly what we'd done. So without getting an answer from her, I lent Kozue my shoulder, and the two of us began to leave the school. You better hope you're not being seen out in public, because as soon as they see two students covered in blood, ew boy. We'd walk through the halls. As nice as it would have been to just leave, we were both covered in blood. Kozue couldn't walk in her current state, and I had a feeling that if we went outside, we'd get hit with the cops all waiting for us out there cliche. It's probably best to just hide out somewhere. Even one of the empty classrooms would probably work. The atmosphere was tense. The scream earlier had kickstarted a slowly growing commotion inside the school. Teachers quickly ran by us in a hurry. Students left their classrooms, ignoring that homeroom was still in session, and cautiously peered around the school to try and see what had happened. Still, there were a lot of people. Maybe it would have been better to just leave after all. We had to hide somewhere. Somewhere like... Oh no. There it was again. That noise again. Stop it, just stop it. I was gonna go fucking insane. A few students spotted me from a distance. And not just students, but a few teachers too. Every single one of them had their cell phones out and were aiming them at us. And for some odd reason, they were all holding mirrors in their other hands. Coupled with a black wrath, an infernal bloodlust sprouted inside my head. Something within me was about to snap.
殺してやる。
Perhaps emboldened by my bloodlust, Kozupi's heart reeked of its own hunger for blood.
殺してやる。殺してやる。殺してやる。
Kozue was reacting to the mirrors. Despite the fact that she was having so much trouble walking, she raised her D-sword overhead anyway. Kozue, don't do it! Clutching her petite frame, I tried to hold her back.
殺してやる。
But I couldn't do it. Kozupi's body freed itself from me with tremendous force. Pulled along by her sword, Kozue charged the group holding mirrors. Her legs tangled with one another. She nearly slipped and fell. And yet she still managed to move forward and swung her enormous D-sword. We need to get out of here! And with a single swing, she had claimed about 4 human lives. It was a staggering storm of destruction and brutality. Her movements and posture were like a novice's. If she leaned back any farther, she'd fall over. And yet her sword's trajectory was both abnormally accurate and fast. Her aim was precise as she claimed each and every one of their lives with a single blow each. Almost like she wasn't the one swinging the sword. The sword was the one swinging her. As she bathed in the fountains of blood, Kozue began to cower.
死ねばいいのだ。みんな。 殺したくない。ケンが勝手に。ケンに依存しちゃえばいいのら。
Oh no.
これがコズピーの本性なのかな。
I could hear Kozupi's current mental state. Her mind was in total disarray, a total chaotic mess. I lent my shoulder to Kozupi once more and climbed the stairs along with her. Oh my god, a new sprite from Misumi. But the very next moment, we ran into Misumi-kun and the other DQN coming down the stairs. Shit, these guys again. I bit my lip.
おいおい、こいつら血まみれじゃねえか。
For a split second, the DQN who spoke was taken aback. But the very next one, Misumi-kun grabbed me by my chest. His face was teeming with fury.
おかよ。お前らが殺したのかよ、Minako!
Seriously, who the hell was Minako? Noticing my confusion, the DQNs held Misumi-kun back.
まあ待てよ、ミスミ。まだそうと決まったわけじゃねえだろ。だいたいあんなこと、よりによってこの二人ができるわけねえって。
All that? They were definitely talking about the slaughter on the roof.
それよりよ、エスパ
僕はエスパーじゃん。
ー。うるせえよ、口答えすんな、カス。
I tried to tell him I wasn't an Esper, but he wasn't having any of it. His threat caused me to shrink back. Feeling unbelievably pathetic, I began to wonder if Kozupi would murder everyone here if I wanted her to.
殺してもいいよ。やだ、殺したくない。
Kozupi's mind was a chaotic mess of conflicting, contradictory emotions.
殺せない。殺すことも受け入れるべきなの。
Okay, so we are seeing Kozupi and her sword. She should just give in. That was one thing I could never do.
でよ、エスパー。お前の妹って、お前に似合わず可愛いんだな。ナナミだっけ？
Don't you dare. What? Why the hell did this DQN know about Nanami?
だからよ、ちょっと可愛がってやったんだよ。
何や言って。
わかんねえの？
The DQN, acting far, far too friendly with me, placed his hand on my shoulder. Even though he was a guy, he was covered with the smell of perfume. The smell was so strong it made me want to vomit.
俺の連れ、だいたい10人くらいでいつもつるんでるんだけどな。ちょっと暇してたわけよ。で、女ナンパするかって話になった時によ、提供してくれたんだよね。お前の妹。
Okay, kill him.
提供って。
Nanami wasn't some fucking object to be offered. What the hell had they done to her? Wait. No. More importantly, who the hell had offered them Nana...
ダーススパイダーだよ。
All words left me.
わざわざ向こうから声かけてきてよ。お前の妹を好きにしていいとか言って渡してきたんだよね。マジでウケるだろ。
My vision turned bright red. Within my mind, it felt as if my blood was boiling. It billowed and bubbled, rising up to my head like magma.
ナナミに何を？
あ？だから可愛がってやったっつってんだろ。そうそう。妹さ、片手なかったぜ。痛そうだったな。
It's just a visual novel. It's just a visual novel. Stop getting overheated over this. Calm down. It's just a visual novel. It's fiction. It's just fiction. It's just fiction. It's just fiction. It's just fiction. Brother mode activated. That had all been real. When I'd come home afterward to check, I hadn't been able to find that damn hand, so that was why.
なあミスミ、お前も教えてやれよ。お前だってあの場にいたんだからよ。
それより美奈子。
Forget that shit. Forget that shit. What the fuck could possibly be more important? My sister is what matters here, you piece of shit. Don't you fucking dare compare that fucking horse Minako to my precious little sister!
そうそうそう、記念に写真撮っといたぜ。なあ、エスパーも見てえか？見せてやるよ。
I'll fucking kill you.
画像っと。あった、これ。ほら、見ろよ、エスパー。
The DQN grabbed me by the jaw and forced me to look at the image. The photograph was definitely Nanami, but she was covered in blood. Her eyes were hollow, and she was completely naked. I'll fucking kill you, 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 I'll fucking kill you. I'll fucking kill you. I'll fucking kill you, I'll fucking kill you, I'll fucking kill you, I'll fucking kill you! The knife I'd been gripping dug itself deep into that DQN bastard's chest. I brought it with me today just in case I needed it. Apparently, I myself had stabbed him. I pulled it out and stabbed with him at it again. And then I did it again.
おい、やめろタク。うるさい。
I pulled it out and stabbed it back again.
泉、お前も死ねばいいんだ。僕もナナミを、世界中の全員が死ねばいいんだ。僕が殺してやんよ。
I pulled it out and stabbed it back in. And again. Then again. The DQN wasn't moving anymore. With his eyes open wide and his mouth drooling blood, he was very much dead.
ねえ、コズピー。全員、撃ち殺してよ。
With a sad look on her face, Kozue nodded. Her D-sword rose in her hand. It reel-booted with a furious resonant noise, and then Misumi-kun could only stare in shock at the abrupt embodiment of mayhem.
Huh?
With a single swipe, Misumi-kun's head was blown clean off. She had swung her sword so violently she lost her balance and fell right on her ass. Misumi's collapsing body then fell on top of her, soaking her clothes with blood. Despite looking wholly miserable, she pushed the corpse aside and then she looked at me and smiled.
匠さんも殺しちゃったね。
Was she crying, suffering, or simply smiling? Within her pain, smile with a mix of so many different emotions.
なんで敵だらけなんだろう。もうやだ。
She was sobbing inside her heart. But it was just as she'd said. We had enemies everywhere, so we had no choice but to kill them. That was what they all deserved. I wasn't the one in the wrong here. The pieces of shit that I'd attacked were. It was payback for what they'd done to Nanami. Nanami, was she still alive? With all that blood, she was probably long dead. That and her severed hand. There was no way she was alive. They would never get away with this. I'd make fucking sure of it. I'd been on the run for so long, but that ended here. I would kill every last one of them. Every last one. When I'd seen that horrible, cruel image of Nanami, something inside me snapped, and now there would be no stopping me. Yeah, this is arguably the most horrifying and violent ending. Meanwhile, he's kind of happy that everything is going on the way it is. Suwa Mamoru stood before the gate to Sume Private Academy, gazing intently at the building. The car he'd been driven there with sat alongside the gate, with his back leaning up against it. Although he wore a suit, a rucksack adorned his back as well. Emanating from it within it was a bizarre mechanical sound. He's fucking with everybody's perception. The atmosphere within the school was one of an intense bubbling tumult, one Suwa could feel even from where he stood. The pure hilarity of it all left Suwa unable to contain his laughter.
今日こそ西条匠のコードサンプルを手に入れなきゃっすからね。
His utterance was not directed at anyone in particular, and was heard only by himself. Around him stood several other men. Unlike Suwa, their attire was far more uncouth and casual, although they all carried rucksacks just as he did. They were all very evidently suspicious, with their eyes remaining glued to the school, and speaking not a word to each other. All that seeped from their mouths were the same mutterings as Suwa, spoken to no one but themselves.
そのためにこの学校を実験場にしたんすから。もともとここはそのためにのぞみが作ったんすけどね。
Of course, the school was a testing ground. Sume Private Academy had been founded by an institution backed by both Nozomi technology and the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light. For this reason, the number of Gigalomaniacs enrolled was far higher than normal. Their proximity was no mere coincidence. It was simply inevitable that they had all gathered here, and to this they were all none the wiser. Be that as it may, Suwa could not help but let out a faint sigh. Up until this moment, he had employed countless methods of attempting to break Nishijo Takumi. It had all been an attempt to gather Nishijo's code sample, but the boy was a far weaker, far more pathetic person than he'd anticipated. And because of this, the boy would never find the motivation to awaken as a Gigalomaniac. Never would he have thought that one single boy would be so much trouble. However, this would end today.
もう回りくどいことはなしで、とっておきの祭りを提供してやるっすよ。
There was no doubt that countless innocent people would die here, but the number of deaths hardly mattered. The Cosmic Church of the Divine Light's founder had said so, and Suwa had thus been compelled to believe so. In the end, it really did not matter. The third melt would bring Shibuya to ruin this very day. No matter how many high schoolers died, they would be treated as sacrifices lost in the earthquake, and the truth of this day would be buried beneath the rubble. None would ever know of the murders that occurred here.
さてと。じゃあ行きますかね。
Suwa opened the trunk of his car and retrieved his Darth Spider helmet. He put it on slowly and deliberately. When it stood alongside his suit and rucksack, the Darth Spider helmet made Suwa appear all the more conspicuous. But this was not something that even remotely bothered him. With an air of utter composure, he advanced into the school. And upon Suwa's signal, the men with the rucksacks followed closely behind him, remaining in complete and utter silence. I lent my shoulder to Kozue, and the two of us left for the courtyard. And when we got there, Senna was waiting for us. She was glaring at us with a harsh scowl on her face. Her D-sword was out, real-booted and emitting a red beam of light.
お前たちはバカだ。罠にはめられているんだ。すべて精神攻撃だ。その影響でみんなおかしくなっているに過ぎない。真の悪に気づけ。元凶を叩かなければ悪夢は終わらない。ポーターだ。リュックを背負っている奴らがどこかにいるはず。そいつらが妄想攻撃を。
セナさんはコズピーの味方だよね。
コズ？
真の悪って何？その影響があるから何なのかな。コズピーとタクミさんを攻撃してきたゴキさんたちはね、自動的に敵だよ。だから殺すの。 殺したくない。
The voice in Kozupi's head wasn't making any sense. Her mind was a chaotic mess.
それが敵の思うツボなんだ。
みんなでストーカーしてくるんだもん。怖いんだもん。コズピーがコズピーでなくなっちゃいそうになるんだもん。
I felt the same. The click of the camera shutters, the creaking of the wheelchair, just hearing those things made me feel like my mind itself was disintegrating. I just wanted to let myself go, surrender to that oh so enticing bloodlust. Or maybe I already had.
お前たちは何と戦っているのか把握しているのか。
I didn't know who the enemy was. I didn't know anything at all, really. Was my enemy Shogun or was it someone else? I didn't even know who was attacking who anymore. What I could say for sure, though, was that everyone and everything in this world was against me.
妄想に惑わされるな。お前たちは自分の妄想によって殺されようとしている。小杖、それ以上ディソードを使うんじゃない。負の物質がお前の心と体を侵食しているんだ。まともに歩けなくなっているんだろう。このままだとお前という存在が崩壊する。
セナちゃんはコズピーたちの味方？
With a voice sounding like it was begging for salvation, Kozupi pleaded for an answer once more. I too waited with bated breath to see what Senna might say. I wasn't expecting anything. I really wasn't, but...
私はお前たちの味方だ。
Senna answered decisively.
お前たちを攻撃している敵は私が倒す。だからもう妄想するな。
I was saved. I'd saved someone on my side besides... I had someone on my side besides Kozupi. Another friend. Kozupi slowly lowered her sword.
よかった。セナちゃん、大好きなのら。
Please don't kill her. Tears began to form in the corners of her eyes. Kozupi's gaze clung to Senna like a lost puppy. Without warning, Kozupi swung her D-sword. Senna instinctively deflected the blow with her own. However, the shock of the attack was enough to blow her backward and she fell to the ground.
小杖、何を。
コズピー。
Senna made it clear she was on our side. Why are you trying to kill her?
違う、コズピーじゃない。
Her sword. Crying out in her inner voice, she swung the sword up past her head and held it above Senna.
コズピーじゃないよ。
She swung down with the intent to kill. With only a nanosecond to spare, Senna rolled across the ground, just barely avoiding being cleaved in two. Quickly getting back to her feet, she brandished her D-sword once again.
私を殺すつもりか、小杖。
Crying profusely, Kozupi shook her head back and forth wildly in fierce denial.
違うよ。手が勝手に。助けて。セナちゃん、タクミちゃん。
Yep, that's what I was afraid of. What the hell was happening to her? Seriously, what the fuck was going on?
負の妄想に取りつかれてしまっている。
Yeah, her sword's basically taken over.
自分でディソードを制御できていないのか。
So against Kozupi's own will, she was now an indiscriminate killing machine?
小杖、ディソードを消せ。 こいつ。
殺す、殺す、殺す、殺す、殺す、殺す、殺す、殺す、殺す。
Okay, that kind of... Yeah. A voice spoke. But it wasn't her inner voice. It was Kozupi's actual voice. Chanting kill to no end, the exact opposite of what her inner voice wanted.
Sena, コズピーを助けてあげてよ。
All I could do was beg from the sidelines. There was no way I could have walked into the middle of the fray.
妄想を見せて無力化を。
Kozupi launched an unrelenting attack, but all she was doing was barreling around with her sword. It was purely brutish attack with no aim, only a total idiot would use.
殺したくないのにセナさんのこと殺したくないのに
Despite her body staggering around, despite her feet drunkenly stumbling, despite her gaze not even facing Sena, Kozupi's sword headed straight towards Sena without fail, doing everything in its power to rip her in two.
殺す殺すぶち殺すぶち殺してやる
Lashing out at her with nothing but nonsensical attacks, her assault continued. Each and every swing was extremely heavy, yet sharp as could be. Sena was pressed for time. Her expression grew restless. The swords mutually clashed with one another. Sena repelled her blow, breaking Kozupi's guard. But in Kozupi's counterattack, her D-sword seemed to disregard the very laws of physics themselves. Thick blood sprayed from her slender body.
それは妄想だ。
Sena cut around and made her way to Kozupi's back. The once bloodied corpse of Sena vanished. Taking advantage of Kozupi's shock, Sena managed to pin her arms behind her back.
理想度を捨てろ、小杖。
離せ離せ離せ離せ離せ離せ殺してコズピーのこと殺してセナシャンコズピーは悪くないコズピーは悪くないみんなが悪いんだこんな自分もう見たくないセナシャンも殺したくないだから
Kozupi's mind and body were at odds with one another. They had split completely in two. Her small body thrashed around violently in an attempt to break free, but in her mind she could only weep.
頼む。剣を捨ててくれ、小杖。元に戻ってくれ。私はお前を見捨てたりしない。お前は私のたった一人の友達で。
Oh. Tears formed in Sena's eyes. She was crying. Right then, Kozupi's arm made the strangest of movements, bending in a direction that shouldn't have been possible. A dull crack could be heard as her joint dislocated. A muted scream came from her. Before I even knew what had happened, Sena, who had been keeping Kozupi pinned, had been impaled from behind by Kozupi's boorish D-sword. The edge gnawed through her, grinding her into her flesh like a saw. In the blink of an eye, Sena's clothes were turning a deep crimson. Gritting her teeth in pure anguish, she tried to toss Kozupi aside to put space between them, but she was too late. Kozupi whipped around and slashed her sword in a straight horizontal line. And the side of Sena's body was torn to pieces. Kozupi turned to Sena, who was writhing in intense agony, and then she thrust her D-sword directly into her. Fuck.
Kozue。
Fuck, man.
すまない。すまない。
死んじゃえ、死んじゃえ、死んじゃえ、死んじゃえ、死んじゃえ。
お前のこと助けてやれなくて、私のこと慕ってくれたのに、私はお前の力になれなくて。
死んじゃえ、死んじゃえ、死んじゃえ、死んじゃえ、死んじゃえ。
お前の SOS もっと早く気づいてあげられたら。Kozueと話している時間が私にとって唯一ほっとできる時間だった。
死んじゃえ、死んじゃえ、死んじゃえ、死んじゃえ、死んじゃえ。
慕ってくれてありが。
死ね。
I couldn't look straight at it.
死んだの？
She was dead. Senna was dead. Just like everyone else. Even though she'd been our friend, even though she could have saved me and Kozue, Kozue had killed her. The sword remained pierced into her friend's corpse. Kozupi's disjointed arm hung down lifelessly, and on her face was a smile, accompanied by a waterfall of tears.
セナちゃん、セナちゃん、返事して。一緒にガルガリ君食べに行こうよ。匠さんと3人でまた写真撮って、また。
Her heart was crying out in despair.
ねえ、匠さん。セナちゃん、どうして返事してくれないのかな。どうして。
Senna is dead.
殺しちゃった。殺しちゃったよ。
Kozue fell to her knees. With one hand, Kozue softly picked up what was left of Senna's lifeless corpse. What had once been a girl of intense beauty was now smeared from head to toe in blood, with her long black hair covering her face.
こんな、コズピーね、こんなこと望んでないのに、望んでなかったのに。セナちゃんのこと好きだったのに、大好きだったのに、お姉ちゃんみたいだなって思ってたのに。なんでコズピーはセナちゃんのことを殺したんだろう。なんで。
信仰の救いっすよ。
You! Before I knew it, a man in a Darth Spider helmet had appeared near us, holding a small handgun pointed directly at us.
あえ。
Darth Spider. I remember what that DQ1 had told me before I'd killed him in a fit of rage. He'd said that Darth Spider had offered Nanami to him.
お前か。
さあ、何のことっすか？
He shot me. My leg exploded with pain. The bullet had struck me right in the knee. Kozupi's D-sword began to hum. and Darth Spider's helmet was shredded like it was made of paper. It wasn't Shogun's face beneath the mask. Instead, it was the face of a young man. The man retaliated, turning Kozue into a mess of gushing blood and broken bones. And then Kozupi's legs gave out from beneath her.
おっと、殺しはしないっすよ。コードサンプルを取らせてもらわないといけないんで。
Who was this guy? Who in the hell was this bastard? I couldn't stop thinking that I'd met him somewhere before, but I couldn't remember where. How'd he even got his hands on a gun to begin with? But I did know that this must have been him, the so-called source Senna had mentioned. Was he Shogun's underling? Was he some other enemy? I didn't know the answers to any of these questions, and I didn't need to, because at the very least I knew he was the source behind everything! I wanted to kill this bastard so badly. But my aching leg was suffering from an incredibly unusual sensation, and before long I couldn't even stay standing anymore. The next bullet landed in my shoulder. The impact of the shot sent me sprawling on the ground. The bullets dug into my flesh, and the sheer pain and heat made me scream. Next, my arm. I dropped the knife I'd been clenching tightly in my fist. My entire body was emitting distress signals. I couldn't even tell where I was being shot anymore. I was dying. This pain was too much for me to take. The man approached me. He peered at my face, then removed something odd from the rucksack he was carrying. It was some sort of headgear, with more cables than I could count.
殺す。
何？
殺してやる。
Rising up from the ground, Kozue swayed heavily. She was dragging her leg. After almost having to force herself, she raised her blade.
こいつ、化け物かよ。
殺してやる。
I heard the sound of the sword cutting through air. It interlaced perfectly with the sound of gunfire. The D-sword utterly crushed the man's body. His final breath soon dissipated, and the man's all-too-familiar way of speaking would never be heard again. It's probably a delusion. Moaning, Kozue coughed up a spatter of blood. Her chest was dyed a rich vermilion from the bullets of the dead man. And then, as if her strength had been sapped entirely, she collapsed face up onto the flower bed resting directly behind her. A myriad of black particles began to envelop her D-sword. A hulking mass of sheer mayhem, inspiring awe to all those who beheld it. The truly beautiful yet fearful blade gradually began to waver.
たくみさん、コズピンね、もうダメみたい。
Bearing the excruciating pain shooting through me, I crawled as best as I could toward where Kozue lay. Only a few moments ago, my entire body had been blazing with heat, but now, I felt so terribly cold. It was like I had plunged straight into a lake on a cold winter's day. My whole being was shivering with a force I couldn't stop. I couldn't feel my fingers anymore. My vision had gone blurry too. But even so, willing forth all the strength I could muster, I stretched my hand toward the girl lying in a radiant array of brightly colored flowers. My cold fingertips met Kozupi's warm, tender fingers, desperately seeking something to cling to. Wishing with all my heart to find it, I draped my fingertips on top of hers and closed them. I found myself lying in the flower bed, just like Kozue. The stench of blood was masked perfectly by the rich scent of the flowers. I felt frigid, but found warmth through the soil on my back, as well as Kozupi's fingers. The sky was so very high above us, stretching as far as the eye could see. And for some reason,
ねえねえ、空がとっても綺麗だよ。まるでブチブチさんをたくさん散りばめたみたいで。
She was right. The sky we saw shifted hues endlessly. And just like she'd said, it was like there was an array of colorful beads overtaking the sky. From my pocket, I retrieved the cell phone strap that Kozue had given me some time ago. I'd only just remembered that I'd even had it. I took the cell phone strap in my palm, then clasped her hand once more, embracing the strap in the middle. I wasn't strong enough to maintain a solid grip anymore, but it didn't matter.
コズピーもあんな風に空に浮かぶブチブチさんになりたいな。
You can. Throw away your piece of shit body. Throw away this piece of shit world. You can be a star if you truly wish to be. If you do that, then you'll never have to worry about pain or sorrow ever again. If you do that, then you'll live in peace and tranquility forever.
たくみさんも一緒に来てくれる？
Of course I will. I'll always be with you. You were the only person who didn't betray me. You were the only person trying as hard as you could for my sake. Even until the very end. So I'll never betray you. I'll stay with you until the very end.
ありがとう。あのね、コズピー、たくみさんのこと好きになってもいいかな？
I don't mind. My consciousness was fading, but I answered all the same. I realized that the hand I'd been clasping was slowly beginning to lose its warmth. I realized that the strength was slowly fading from the fingers clasping my hand. But I didn't care. I wasn't going to let go of her hand until the very end. I tried my damnedest to hold back the tears I knew would come. The sky I saw turned pure white. All the clickety-clackities were disappearing. I figured something had happened, but I didn't really care anymore. Relief washed over me. Relief that Kozue wouldn't have to see the clickety-clackities die out. I gently closed my eyes. In that very moment, time came to a stop. The entire world came to a stop. And so, within that sky, within colors as rich as those beads, Kozue and I shone as stars, floating in perpetuity. Yet another depressing ending, brought to you by Chaos Head. So, let's see. Let's think about this for a minute. So, how the hell do I even... Okay. I'm gonna let the song play out while I gather my thoughts. So that was the Kozue route. Where do I begin? Reach the sickness unto slaughter ending. So, what are my thoughts on this particular ending? Well, how I look at it, it strikes me as if every ending has like its own theme. The ending that I got dealing with Kozue, undiagnosed trauma and not receiving the help that you need. Because again, I'm going in with my idea that Kozue, she was obviously bullied until the point where she broke. Usually victims of bullying becoming the bully, or basically when the victim of bullying finally snaps. I just see this route as an example, like with the supernatural powers of like D-Sword and stuff like that. What happens to somebody if what happens to some people that are victims of bullying who don't receive the help that they need? Like, a large amount of the carnage and shit like this could have been potentially prevented if Kozue was able to receive the mental help she desperately needed. The therapy that she was needing. To kind of help her get past some of the traumas that she's dealt with in her life. Granted, it'd be a multi-year sort of process trying to help her get past that sort of thing. Okay, I'm gonna open up a little bit about myself here. I myself was a victim of bullying. And I had been seeing, it's not really I guess you can count it as a therapist, but since 5th grade, all the way up until I graduated, I had been seeing a psychologist for a lot of stuff. It's how I'm a normal functioning human being as we are right now. Well, I guess normal is probably not the best word to go, but I'm going to try to use my own experience here as an example. She was not able to learn a large amount of the coping methods that she would need to help her avoid unhealthy habits. And she just wasn't able to get past a large amount of the issues that she had built up over time. This feels like a cautionary tale of a damaged person not being able to properly heal. That and the fact that, well, kind of giving in to those vengeful feelings, as well as witnessing the dichotomy of what happens to somebody who still has some level of their moral compass, but that doesn't change the fact that they still have those violent feelings still raging inside of them. You know? That's where Kozue and her D-Sword come into play, where we see, like, the two sides. Then again, my own take from this could easily be entirely wrong. I am willing to admit that I'm not smart. I guarantee there's some parts of me that I completely read wrong about this. But anyway, those are my thoughts on this one. This was a relatively dark and sad ending, honestly. You want to know the positive of this? Sua got killed. That's a positive right there. But that final shot of them just laying covered in blood in a field of flowers as they lay there dying is just tragic. As well, by the way, another little thing here, when there is somebody out there that is actively reaching out to help you and Kozue actually attacking Senna and all of that, that is also a good example of, like, even if somebody is offering you help, the person that is damaged may potentially lash out at people that are genuinely trying to help. It's, you know, I thought that was actually a pretty interesting inclusion. Well, I mean, fitting. You know, sometimes the one that actively tries to help will be lashed out at, usually. Or at least it's a possibility. Anyway, those are my takes. Still better than Nanami's ending. I will still say that right off the bat. In terms of ending ranks right now, I believe I would score this one kind of underneath Ayase and Yua's. Actually, no. Shit, that's kind of a tough one. Yeah, you know, it'd be Ayase, Yua, Kozue, bad ending, Nanami. Still a good ending. I need some rest.